Active contingency is when the seller has accepted an offer with contingencies, but still wants the house to be listed as active. An addendum is if a buyer or seller wants to change an existing contract, they might add an addendum outlining the specific part of a contract they'd like to adjust and the parameters of that change. The rest of the contract stays the same regardless of the addendum. An appraisal on your home is an unbiased estimate of how much your home is worth. When buying a home, the lender requires an appraisal by a third party, the appraiser, to make sure the loan amount requested is accurate. If the home's appraised value is below what the buyer has offered, the lender may request that the buyer pay the difference in cost. Assessed value is an assessment used to determine how much in taxes the owner of a property will pay. An assessor calculates the assessment of a home's value by looking at comparable homes in your area and reviewing an inspection of the home in question. A broker has passed a broker's license exam and received education beyond what the state requires of real estate agents. They understand real estate law, construction, and property management. Real estate agents are required to work under the supervision of a broker. Clear title, also known as just title, good title, or a free and clear title. A clear title doesn't have any kind of lien or levy from creditors. It means there is no question of legal ownership of the property, such as building code violations or bad surveys. Closing is the final stage of the real estate transaction. The date is agreed upon when both the buyer and seller go under contract on the home. On the closing date, the property is legally transferred from the seller to the buyer. Closing costs are usually comprised of between 2 to 5% of the total purchase price of the home. These fees are paid on or by the closing date. Real estate commission is generally 5 to 6% of the home's sale price. That commission is usually split between the buyer's and seller's agents and is paid by the seller at the time of closing. Comparable sales are used by an appraiser to establish how much a home is worth based on what other similar homes in the area have sold for recently. Only homes that have legally closed count as a comp, and most lenders and insurance providers require appraisers to use at least 3 closed sales. If a property is contingent or the contract contains a contingency, certain events must transpire or the contract can be considered null. A contingency might be that a home must pass an appraisal or receive a clean inspection. When a property is contingent, it means the owner has accepted an offer, but certain contractual expectations must be met or the offer will be void. If all contingencies are met, the property status changes to pending. While contingent offers are still considered active listings, pending offers are taken off the market and other offers will not be entertained. A housing deed is a legal document transferring a title from seller to the buyer. It must be a written document and is sometimes referred to as the vehicle of the property interest transfer. Discount points are also known as mortgage points. They're fees homebuyers pay directly to the lender at the time of closing in exchange for reduced interest rates, which can lower monthly mortgage payments. The down payment is the amount of cash a homebuyer pays at the time of closing. Typical home loans require a 20% down payment. Some conforming loans will accept 5% down payment, and FHA loans will accept 3.5% down payment. Earnest money is a deposit, usually 1 to 2% of the home's total purchase price, made by a home buyer at the time they enter into a contract with the seller. Earnest money demonstrates the buyer's interest in the property and is generally deducted from your total down payment and closing cost. Escrow is a part of the home buying process. It happens when a third party holds something of value during the transaction. Most often, the value the third party holds onto is the buyer's earnest money check. When the transaction is complete, usually at closing, the third party will release those funds to the seller. A property's fair market value is its accurate valuation in a free and open market under the condition that the buyers and sellers are knowledgeable about the asset, acting in their best interest, and free of undue pressure to complete the transaction. If a third-party buyer offers to buy or lease a property owner's asset, the right of first refusal ensures that the property holder is allowed a chance to buy or lease the asset under the same terms offered by the third party before the property owner accepts the third-party offer. The Federal Housing Administration, generally known as FHA, provides mortgage insurance on loans made by FHA-approved lenders throughout the United States and its territories. FHA insures mortgages on single-family homes, multifamily properties, residential care facilities, and hospitals. Homes listed for sale by owner, FSBOs, are being sold without the help of a real estate agent. The biggest benefit to the seller is that they avoid paying commission fees, but there are very few benefits to the buyer. A home inspection is carried out by an objective third party to establish the condition of a property during a real estate transaction. An inspector will report on things such as a home's heating system, the stability of the foundation, and the condition of the roof. The inspection is meant to identify major issues that might affect the value of the home and the stability of you and your lender's investment in return. A homeowners association is usually found when you purchase a condominium, townhome, or other development property. To purchase the home, you must also join the HOA and pay monthly or yearly HOA fees. These fees can cover common area maintenance, repairs, and general upkeep. The more amenities your building offers, the higher the HOA fees typically are. When you purchase a home, it is also necessary to purchase homeowners insurance to cover any losses or damages that you might incur, such as a natural disaster, theft, or damage. It also protects the homeowner from liability against any accidents in the home or on the property. Insurance payments are usually included in your monthly mortgage payments. The MLS is a tool to help listing brokers find cooperative brokers working with buyers to sell their clients' homes. Without the collaborative incentive of the existing MLS, brokers would create their own separate systems of cooperation, fragmenting rather than consolidating property information. Owner financing, also known as seller financing, takes place when a borrower finances the purchase of a home through a seller, bypassing conventional mortgage lenders and financial institutions. A sale is considered pending if all contingencies have been met and the buyer and seller are moving towards closing. At this point, it's unlikely the sale will fall through, and the buyer or seller risk losing the earnest money if they walk on a deal at this point. A purchase agreement demonstrates a buyer's intent to purchase a piece of property and the seller's intent to sell that property. The document outlines the terms and conditions of the sale and holds each party legally accountable to meeting their agreement. A real estate agent is licensed to negotiate and coordinate the buying and selling of real estate transactions. Most real estate agents must work for a realtor or broker with additional training and certification. A home's title represents the rights to the property. Those are transferred from the seller to the buyer during a real estate transaction and give the buyer legal rights to the property upon closing. A rural development loan offers 100% financing, which means no down payment is required. There are home location and income requirements for this type of loan. A home is under contract when a seller has accepted an offer from a buyer, but the transaction has not yet closed. If you have more questions about real estate terminology, please feel free to contact one of our agents at 337-476-0864.